Okay, Arthur, tell me if you, I don't remember whether you said that you heard some of Jerry's radio work in those days, but tell me, did you hear any of his radio music?
No, I first heard something of Jerry's when we were drinking at Naples, right near Columbia Pictures, and Jerry was working at CBS. And we just talked to him one night. I think I told you this. He was going to record at Goldwyn. And I become interested in him. Don't ask me why. You know, strange things happen. And I went to recording, and there he was, as I told you, with Lou, the drummer, Lou Singer, playing some things with percussion, and a piano or a harp and a couple of winds or something like that. That was the orchestra. And he made marvelous sounds. And I can't really recall if I had ever heard any of the radio stuff at that time. But I was very impressed.
And that was probably television or radio?
No, that was, you know, I don't know.
It's hard to say.
It could have been radio or it could have been television.
Mid-50s, huh?
But it was I remember it was Goldwyn, which was a nice stage, and it was just even good for 4 or 5 pieces.
Over the years, has he sometimes or often called you and said, "Hey, Arthur, I've got a theme for such and such a film. Come on over and hear it"?
At the beginning, we always went over the material very carefully.
Can you think of like a sample score pattern? Did he do that? Planet of the Apes?
Yeah. At the beginning of a picture, when he started, we always went over the material very carefully. As a matter of fact, on some of them, he was never quite sure which way to do it. And I would play many different ways sometimes for him. He didn't like any of them.
Yeah, no, I basically was thinking about how he would play this early material for you on the piano if he did it.
Oh, he always did.
Would he do the whole score or just an isolated theme?
Oh, it would vary. The most important thing was the theme, and usually in the early days we'd go through each cue together. He loves to work. He loves to write music. I don't know why. And if he's not doing anything, he'll get a bit of a rest for 2 or 3 days, and he's ready to go back to work. He loves to write music.
Jerry did so many films that were great films and scores with Franklin Schaffner. Were you around able to watch the two of them work in the booth?
Oh, yes.
Tell me about him and about...
Well, there was a very, very close relationship from the standpoint, a professional relationship and also personal. And Frank was a very caustic guy. And there was always a bit of humor and cynicism. I think Jerry had worked with Frank in radio. And so there was a lot of that byplay going on, and we always enjoyed it. But yet, when it was businesslike, there was all the nonsense would be put aside, and whether Frank liked the piccolo or didn't like the piccolo was no longer germane, you know. And it was a very good relationship. We always enjoyed working with Franklin.
He seemed very intelligent, extremely bright.
Oh, yes. He's a man of considerable culture. And his wife was a lovely lady, too. I remember once when he came to London, I think Jerry had gone out of town or something, and Franklin got us tickets to the theater for Emily and me, and it was very nice, you know. He's a hospitable, good man. We all miss him.
Have you enjoyed going around the world with Jerry on for some of these scores?
Oh, it's been marvelous. Every time we've gone, we've supplemented it with a trip somewhere, and the only time once when I was in Budapest, I think Emmylou was in either in China or in Egypt. I don't know, she took a couple of trips without me. But we always were very sure. We early on, remember my first trip to London, Jerry and I went ahead and the gals came later. It was on Blue Max. And very deluxe, the chauffeur, I've forgotten his name, a nice young fellow, met us with a car. And wherever we went, the chauffeur would take us, And I finally realized, as did Jerry, that we don't know a damn thing about London. So I started to do a lot of walking, and I learned since then that the only way to see a city is to walk it. And, we did a lot of trips. With every trip, we always did something.
And when you go abroad like that, when you've gone, would you be orchestrating still, getting ready for the sessions?
Some of the pictures we did Blue Max we did completely in London. Some of the others we would do maybe half, and very rarely did we get most of it done here. And ordinarily we'd go to London, I get a flat at the hotel, and order my secretary chair. And Jerry would have his piano there already, and he would usually have written something ahead of time that I hadn't gotten yet. So I get to London, I sit down, you know what the hours are, you work long hours. That's why I can't do it anymore. That's for young people.
It's grueling.
Yeah, it's very, very rough. Plus, which I must say, Jerry oftentimes does the shorter and easier cues first, and the hard stuff comes at the end. I think Johnny Williams does that too.
I do too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once the momentum gets going, it's a lot easier.
You want to get the material going.
When you're on the scoring stage over all these years, what do you listen? What do you find yourself listening for? What do you think you listen for to see whether everything's going well?
Well, oftentimes I've had to go into the booth and instruct the mixer, which is, and I remember when Bruce first started it, because we'll be interviewing Bruce, he was not sure of a lot of things. Right now he knows everything. He knows what to do with Jerry. And in those days, Jerry didn't earphone everything like he does now. And I'd have to make corrections and suggestions from the booth. And I remember Bruce couldn't quite read music. He almost could. And so it's bar 67, I'd say, okay, Bruce, do this, or stuff, the usual sort of stuff. And now he follows the music, and he knows what it is way ahead of. Even if I've orchestrated it, he knows what to do with it way ahead of me. He's very, very skillful and very musical. But he's always ready to try something new, besides the knocks underneath the piano and the mixing bowls. The mixing bowls, I think, was a really real fun.
Did you hear them before you?
Yeah, I had an idea, because Emil, I think we've gone somewhere to listen. Jerry said Emil's got some mixing bowls. I think we would somewhere to hear a couple of them. And of course, they're a marvelous effect.
Any favorite scores that really move you, especially that you just keep thinking about?
The one of the blind girl.
Patch of Blue.
Patch of Blue. I simply loved that figure. It was so sensitive, and I still love that score particularly. I also liked the score of Medicine Man. That was a lot of fun, and the score to Frank Schaeffer, Papillon. That was great fun. Jerry just got a great talent, and not only a great talent, but a tremendous energy and tremendous discipline. You can't do that much and that well without real real energy and discipline. And he's got that.
Yeah, people do, when they hear about a schedule like Jerry's, they do think in terms of discipline, because they think of themselves trying to finish just a household chore,
Yeah,
not being
that's
able to
right.
do it. And here's this guy doing 5 major scores.
Is it that many? I don't think it's that many anymore.
5 a year. Yeah, he and his agent, Richard Kraft,
Yeah.
schedule them out for 5 a year.
That's much too much.
It's a lot. That's why I'm asking, how we all think, how can you do this at this level that he's working?
He just likes to write music. Can't wait to get to the piano or the. Right now, he always works on the electronic stuff,
You know.
and I don't know how he does it.